This is KGW News at Sunrise.
I first thought it was firecrackers, so help me God. But I heard the pop, and then pop, 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 and then I was able to gauge the intensity, and I knew that was gunshot.
Scary stuff. A shooting just outside Jefferson High School not too long after students got out of class. What we know about the two students injured and what people nearby say they saw.
Also, the Pacific Northwest has the worst air quality in the country right now. When we can see conditions improve and a few tips to protect yourself from its effects.
And we are arriving on the scene this morning by way of fire engine. The fire engine ride is one of the attractions you can check out at Heiser Farms in Dayton. Their annual pumpkin patch back this year. And yes, I do love the fire engine rides, but the real attractions out here, what's over here to my left, pumpkin patch.
Okay, lots of fun on the farm.
Wait, he was just getting to the best part.
I know.
They have pumpkin cannons.
I can't wait for that.
They shoot those babies right out
They can
into the field.
ruin a car practically.
Oh, he's going to ruin
I can't
a car.
wait. This is going to be some good
Yeah.
next 2 hours of TV.
Well, welcome to KGW News on Sunrise. It is Wednesday, right there midweek. Thank you so much for waking up with us. But gosh, so much to talk about this morning because we just hit unhealthy, very unhealthy, right?
And it's rare. I don't know when the last time it was that the Portland area hit very unhealthy.
Yeah.
It's because of the smoke and the haze and that dense fog. All that combined is making our air very nasty out there. We still have that air quality warning in place until tomorrow night. We really need some rain to help us out, and that rain is on the way. But as we go to the bus stop forecast this morning, areas of fog, smoke and haze most of the day. It'll start to lighten up. I'm still going with a daytime high of 80 degrees. We might have to kind of dial things down a little bit if that fog kind of sticks around a little bit longer, similar to what we saw yesterday. We only topped out in the low 70s yesterday, but here's a look at the air quality map. You can see basically from Portland all the way down into the central and southern part of the Willamette Valley. We're looking at anything unhealthy for sensitive groups or very unhealthy for many locations. So if you can avoid spending any time, long durations outside, that is a good idea, especially with folks who might have some respiratory issues. We'll talk more about your detailed forecast in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Joe.
Child walked up to us or was in a car and was like, did someone get hit? And you could just see in his eyes the astonishment, that the state of trauma that he was in, just wondering, did someone die? Did someone get hit?
Yeah, he's talking about a terrifying moment at Jefferson High School. Two students were hurt in a shooting yesterday afternoon, shortly after class was dismissed for the day.
Both students are expected to survive. KGW's Alma McCarty was at the scene shortly after it happened.
30 minutes after the final bell at Jefferson High on Tuesday, jarring sounds rattled students and witnesses nearby.
I first thought it was firecrackers, so help me God. But I heard the pop, and then pop, 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 and then I was able to gauge the intensity, and I knew that was gunshots.
Charles Daniel Coleman said students quickly ran into the building, with police arriving not long after.
Before 4 p.m., and school was already out, there was a shooting near the gym.
Officers on scene found one male student inside the school shot in the leg. They said he was shot outside before running in. PPB also got a report that a bullet may have grazed a second student's hand, but they're still working to confirm that information. Investigators marked 3 bullet strikes on the side of the Jefferson High gym. No one else was hurt.
It's sad. It's heartbreaking, knowing that this is someone young, a youth who has so much life and so much potential, and we have all this gun violence and they have to kill one another, and we have to find a different way, a different answer for this.
Maurice Fain and Daryl Turpin headed to the crime scene as soon as they heard the news.
Child walked up to us or was in a car and was like, did someone get hit? And you could just see in his eyes the astonishment, that the state of trauma that he was in, just wondering, did someone die? Did someone get hit? And I'm thinking about, how is that going to affect that child, even though he wasn't a part of the shooting scene?
Police have not named a suspect, but say many students were in the area at the time of the shooting. So they're hoping for more witnesses to come forward.
And I hope that nobody was injured seriously to the point of they can't recover. But let's stop the madness, and let's not get that spirit here.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
And we will bring you the latest information on air as we learn more. You can also keep an eye on KGW.com for updates. The story is on our homepage.
A Vancouver woman is looking for answers after her husband was hit and killed in a crash. Police suspect he may have been caught in the middle of two cars that were street racing. Back on the night of October 1st, Jerry Plato's family says he was driving for DoorDash. He was near Northeast St. John's Road and 99th Street in Clark County when they say a Corvette hit him. His car flipped. He ended up pinned underneath, and Plato died in the hospital a few days later. He left behind a wife, 4 children, and 16 grandchildren.
It's horrifying, and I keep waiting to wake up. But I don't think there's a word that can even describe the loss that myself and my whole family feels. He was very, very involved with the kids, and especially the grandkids. He did special things with all of them, and so it's pretty hard to take, especially in a senseless way that it happened.
Investigators have identified one driver and say that driver is going to be charged, but they're also looking for the driver of a second car. You can see this blurry photo here. That's the photo of the car. They think it's a Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk. If you know anything, contact the Clark County Sheriff's Office.
Other headlines we're tracking this morning. Police arrested a man accused of exposing himself at a Sherwood apartment complex. Officers say they caught Armando Servin Talavero looking inside windows at the Sunfield Lake Apartments. Investigators worry he may have done this before, so they're asking other possible victims to step forward. Starting today, Dove Lewis is cutting its 24/7 emergency walk-in hours. The animal hospital in Northwest Portland says it's due to a nationwide shortage of vets and vet techs, exacerbated by the pandemic. Dove Lewis says it can't find enough people to work the overnight shift or relocate to Portland. The ER will now be open from 2 to 10 p.m., 7 days a week. And Columbia Sportswear is moving its Sorel brand to Washington County. Right now, that office is in downtown Portland, just above Columbia's flagship store on Southwest Broadway and Taylor. When Sorel opened its office in 2016, Columbia's CEO had some concerns about employee safety, but Tim Boyle did not mention that in his latest announcement, saying this move is about growth. And those are some of your morning headlines.
We're also continuing to follow progress on the Nakia Creek fire. It has burned just under 1,800 acres and is 12% contained. Evacuations have also dropped dramatically, by the way. Investigators, though, still looking for more information about a car that may have been connected to the fire. It is a white or light-colored Subaru that was parked in a clearing of trees close to where officials believe that fire sparked. You can see it in that little red circle on your screen. This all was back on Sunday, October 9th, and investigators now say the people associated with that car were possibly shooting off fireworks.
Well, several counties in our area have enacted burn bans because of the poor air quality. Here in Oregon, we've heard from Multnomah County, and in Washington, a burn ban is in effect in Clark, Cowlitz, and Lewis counties until at least noon today. For information on other areas, you can contact your county officials.
Yeah, and all the smoke really creating poor air quality here in the Pacific Northwest and Portland area right now, and it's expected to really stay that way for most of the day.
Absolutely. So in a moment, Joe will be back to explain why that smoke isn't clearing out. But first, a few reminders. Stay indoors as much as possible, and when you do go outside, avoid strenuous activity. It's also a good idea to wear an N95 or P100 mask. Your cloth mask will not filter out particulates. And here's one more tip from Dr. James Polo, the Executive Medical Director for Regents Blue Cross Blue Shield of Oregon.
If you're going to be using any kind of an air conditioner or any kind of a portable air cleaner, you want to make sure the filters are clean and they're replaced regularly. And you want to make sure it's functioning correctly so that it's recirculating the air.
You can check the daily air quality index online. Just go to airnow.gov.
Yeah, and speaking of the air quality index, just this morning, right before we went on here, we hit very unhealthy. This is something we haven't seen for a while.
No, I guess you'd have to go back to the 2020 wildfires when it was this bad. So it kind of tells you just how intense. I mean, it's approaching late October, let's say, and we're still looking at wildfires burning and poor air. Things will really start to improve basically by the later part of this week. Along with the smoke and haze, we're also seeing some dense fog out there. Temperature of 50 degrees at this hour. And again, the fog will start to clear out later on this morning or the early part of the afternoon. But much like yesterday, we could be looking at the fog kind of impacting our daytime highs. Yesterday was supposed to be flirting with record-breaking temperatures, didn't come close to it. Today, we could look at it again. But as we put the smoke and forecast into motion, you can kind of see it'll start to clear out later on this week. Once we'll start to see some stronger winds move through as early as tomorrow. And then by Friday afternoon, things will really start to improve. In fact, we'll get a little help. I shouldn't say a lot of help from the rain. That will definitely help crews who are working on those wildfires. Now, we'll also see some spots of dense fog at times, especially starts to see over in Hillsborough down to less than a mile, down to a quarter of a mile over in McMinnville and Newburgh and in the Yamhill County area. And these numbers will start to kind of shrink a little bit heading into the next couple of hours as well. So be prepared for that. Throughout the morning hours, we'll be seeing a mix of some smoke and haze and some dense fog, but temperatures will be in the low 50s. By midday, we'll be looking at temperature of 67 degrees. Again, I'm forecasting highs right around 80 degrees. I don't think we go above that. As we look at the satellite and radar, not a whole lot happening. The radar is not picking up the smoke, but it is definitely smoky and hazy out there. And then things will really start to improve. It'll feel more like fall by Friday afternoon. By 2 o'clock, we just turn on a switch and it is going to be wet, wet, wet most of the weekend. Heavy rain basically from Friday into Saturday. So all those Friday night football games that have been dry all season long, it's going to be a little bit different out there. And then throughout the Oregon Cascades, we're going to be seeing some snow showers throughout the weekend as well. As we look at the forecast for today, morning clouds along the Oregon coast, followed by afternoon sunshine. Daytime highs will be close to the upper 60s to low 70s, and right around the mid to the upper 70s up and down the I-5 corridor. And on your 7-day forecast, we're going to be seeing a mix of some smoke, haze, fog, and sunshine with temperature of right around 80 degrees. A little bit cooler for Thursday, partly cloudy skies. Then Friday afternoon, that rain moves through, and that rain sticks around all the way into the early part of next week. And it's going to be feeling more like late October. And let's check in with Drew Carney, who's already getting ready in the Halloween spirits.
Yes, Joseph, you know what I'm bringing into the show this morning? I'll tell you, hot gases. We are live at Heiser Farm in Dayton this morning, home of a terrific pumpkin patch that features 3 outstanding pumpkin cannons. This is Zach, the man behind the cannon. Zach, are you ready to let that bad boy fly? All right, ready?
Yep.
Aim and pause, because we will fire the cannons right after this quick commercial break.